Hello, everyone, and welcome to Edge Talk Radio. My name is Angela Zabel. That's me. And today we are going to be talking with Dr. Carl Rothschild from California on the Trifecta Light technologies and so much more. I can't wait to get into it with him today. And so, who am I? My name is Angela Zabel. I have been connected to spirit, working with a team in the non-physical my entire life. I've been sharing messages from a multitude of realms with people, and I am a teacher, coach, medium, radio show host, writer, retreat host, and there's a lot more on there. But you can pretty much, I offer guidance, mediumship, and so much more. And I also have classes and the Amplified Universe monthly membership. This is a membership deciding who are we? What are we doing here? What is in the world and how we can navigate it. And you can just find out more about me at angelazabel.com. And I'm pretty much on all the social media. So go ahead and check that out. And today I'm going to try to get this in focus. We are here with Edge Magazine. Edge Magazine is a leading events and media resource dedicated to all aspects of holistic living, health, wellness, and the mysteries beyond, sharing information, wisdom, and resources committed to promoting businesses, organizations, and individuals who support our collective journey to wholeness and balance. It's currently distributed in 30 states plus Canada with over 17,000 magazines per printing. It also has a vibrant online magazine with over 42,000 people reached per month. You can have the magazine shipped directly to your door, stay up to date with the newsletter, and if you're a business, become a drop spot and you can have it at your business too. And there's also Kelly Wagner at Edge Magazine also has the Being Curious show, so make sure to check that out. And that is at edgemagazine.net. And today we are here with Dr. Carl Rothschild. He has been a pioneering advocate of red light therapy, or RLT, and has dedicated his life to igniting the energy and vitality in others. His relentless pursuit of knowledge has yielded deep insights into what people truly seek in their healthy journey, leading him towards the groundbreaking domain of red light therapy. And in his quest to offer his patients the best wellness solutions, Dr. Rothschild embraced the transformative, let's try that again, potential of red light therapy. He founded the Lipomelt Technologies Trifecta Light, a company specializing in professional grade red light therapy devices, including the notable Trifecta Light Bed. And I can't wait to get into some of this. And this venture not only signifies Dr. Rothschild's dedication to patient care, but also his willingness to explore and innovate within his field, as he has been a chiropractor for quite a few years before that. And now he wants to influence the world of health and well-being, and he is excited for his commitment to bettering lives all around the world. And with that, I just want to thank you, Carl, Dr. Carl. Do you want to go Dr. Carl? I forgot. Dr. Carl.
I like Dr. Carl or Lord Commander, whichever one you
Lord
like.
Commander, that will work too. I want to thank you so much for being here, Dr. Carl. And I am just curious, how did you get into the red light therapy and even the chiropractic?
It was 1972. I was a junior at Stony Brook University, which is a pretty darn good school, and I was a biology nut. I mean, I was really into animals and anatomy and just everything related to biology, but I didn't know where I was going to go with that. And someone suggested chiropractic to me, which, of course, in New York in 1972 was quackery and
Mm.
quite frowned upon. And it was perfect for me because I was a bit of a hippie. My version of a hippie was, besides being a little rebellious, was I wanted to focus less on money as a goal. That's not what I wanted. What I wanted to help people. I know it sounds corny, but I get a kick out of helping. And there are a lot of people like that. There's two basic kind of people who are what they call nursey, that like to
Mm.
help people, and that people are not. Not that there's not positive negative, but anyhow, I like helping people. And I called chiropractors all over the country right around that time, which in 72 was not an easy task. We didn't have cell
Yeah.
phones,
No internet.
very expensive. But I called them because I wanted to know what I was getting myself into. And every chiropractor I called loved what they were doing. So can you imagine loving what you're doing, helping people? I mean, that was perfect for me. And I loved it. So I traveled all the ways out here to Los Angeles. At the time, was the best college in the world, um, and it was the Los Angeles College of Chiropractic, which then became some other school, University of Science and Health or something like that. And I loved it. And then 1978, I became a chiropractor. And over the years, I've had 12 practices. I've seen tens of thousands of people. And quite frankly, I'm not in practice at this time right now. I'm just, I'm 73 years old. I could do it, but it's exhausting. And more importantly, I couldn't do a good job with my patients because I'm so vested in this light therapy. So how did I get involved with that?
Yeah.
So about 20 years into my practice, which was about 27 years give or take, an orthopedic surgeon out of USC, and he was a professor, an orthopedic surgeon, and it was an odd mixture, and I'll tell you why. Red light therapy is not going to make an orthopedic surgeon happy because, on the one hand, they can make a lot more money doing the surgery, or not. And so it's an unfair even question. Would you like to make money, or would you like not to make that much money? So the orthopedic surgeons in general haven't really gotten behind this, but ironically, the guy that brought the technology to the United States, first one to get the FDA clearance, was Chadwick Smith, an orthopedic surgeon. And I knew him prior to this. And he hands me what looks like a flashlight and says, "Come on with me, let's save the world." And I thought it was, totally out of his mind, of course. Because remember, I'm a wise guy from New York. I know everything. You're telling me something like this sounds nuts. But I knew him, and I agreed reluctantly to try it out on my patients.
Yeah.
And I went to my patient and said, "Look, tell me something different than what you've told me." When a person goes to a chiropractor, they don't start talking about their pancreas, their kidney, their, internal organs. They're talking about musculoskeletal issues primarily. So this lady says, "I have gum disease." I helped her with a gum disease. What we knew back then was only one thing we knew for sure, is that it couldn't hurt somebody. And in fact, in the 50 years that they've studied this technology, there has never been a recorded side effect. Can you imagine something that I'm going to be describing to you that is so unbelievably powerful, can help so many people, and you couldn't hurt somebody if you tried? So that's why you can have such a thing at home and not be worried about, are you going to be doing any damage to yourself or others? It's completely safe. No side effects. Okay, at any rate, that's the only thing we knew back then for sure. Couldn't hurt anybody. And I was using it on all kinds of things, just having a lot of fun.
Going
And
after the cat, going after the dog.
this person had kidney problems, helped them. I told you about the gum disease. We had a guy that had a ripped Achilles tendon, 75% rip. I sent it to the orthopedic surgeon for surgery, and there was a 1 week gap until he could get into the surgery. So I said, "Why don't you come in every day and we'll treat it?" And when he went to the surgical review at the end of the week, he didn't need the surgery.
Wow.
And then we hear about this a lot more. You got to imagine that device 20-something years ago, 27 years ago, was a small fraction of the power that we currently have.
Mm.
And yet still we had reasonably good results. I had a lot of fun with it too. But now the results are much more consistent, much more powerful. The things that we're seeing are unbelievable. Then about 14, 15 years ago, by accident, it was discovered that there's an element of light that I was not using that can help with weight loss. Now, in this country, people are willing to cut off their body parts or take poisons or injections, all kinds of stuff. They'll do whatever it takes to lose fat. And so you know how popular weight loss is in this country. And so then I said, okay, if this thing can actually help with fat loss as well, I'm on board in a bigger way. And I started actually manufacturing my own equipment with great results. I mean, we were involved with lasers, with smaller devices, and then larger pads, but all the time we were covering parts of the body. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And our practitioners wanted a way to avoid physical contact with their patients. So we came up with a bed. Now this bed, if you can see it, is version like 8, compared to what the first bed we came out with was what I'll call was Pro 100. And the Pro 100 was fine. I mean, it worked nicely. It had some flaws, but it worked nicely. And we shipped it out just with the idea that it would be a replacement of what we had prior to that, which was required, physical contact with the bed. The patient could get in and out of bed themselves. No
Oh,
one has to help you get into bed. No one has to help you get out of the bed. Unless you're in such bad shape, which happens, then usually those people bring their own nurses or their own, so we're at old age homes and things like that. As a matter of fact, interesting enough, the worse off somebody is, the more dramatic the change. So somebody gets in the bed that's in perfect shape. I don't know if they're going to see a difference. It's possible, but possibly not. But if you're a mess, in fact, the messier you are, the higher likelihood that you're going to see some amazing changes. I mean, anything. I don't care what you got. I don't care if it's Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, diabetes, dialysis. Now, I have to be careful here. I can't make claims, but you should at least try this. And my
right.
claims are you'd be nuts not to try this. Lyme disease. We had a lady with a stroke. Any neurological, like neuropathies or things like that. In fact, I tell everybody, it takes 6 visits to determine whether this can help you or not. And that's 3 times a week for 2 weeks. And it's 12 minutes a dose, just 12 minutes.
No.
And after 6 visits, if you don't see a change, I would be very surprised. That doesn't mean you don't need more visits, but typically after 6 visits, you're going to see a change. And in many cases, you might see an unbelievable change, but you'll see changes that you haven't seen before. So let's talk about Arnett. Arnett was having heart attacks once a month about 12 something years ago. And they had planted a defibrillator in his chest. So every time he died, it would zap him back to life. But
Right.
what started out at once a month got to much more frequent. So by 12 years down, 13 years later, when we saw him, it was twice a week.
Mm.
He was on his way out. This was not happy. And he was not doing well. Every organ, every gland, every tissue in his body was suffering. And his energy was gone. I mean, he used to be an athlete, so now he can't walk 10 feet without losing his breath.
Right.
And it was weak. He was a mess. And the practitioner calls me up and says, should I even treat him? I don't want him having a heart attack in my office. I said, you know what? Why don't we just treat him for 5 minutes? Normally a dose, as I said, is 12 minutes. Let's just treat him for 5 minutes. Stay in the room the whole time. Let's see what happens. Now, that patient went home that night, and the change was unbelievable. And he's had more treatment, but he's never had a heart attack since.
Oh, impressive.
Hundreds of heart attacks, no more heart attacks. Hundreds of heart attacks. And now every organ, every gland, every tissue, everything has come back to life. And one thing he says is it's like his energy is now through the roof compared to where it was. So I'm going to be sending you videos and other show notes and stuff that you're more than welcome to share with your audience. I am
Awesome.
telling you, these videos are earth-shattering to me. Remember, what did I want? I wanted to help people.
Right.
And now we're hearing more than ever, thank you for giving me my life back. I mean, I love that. I love that. Taking somebody who couldn't walk, now could walk. So we talked about Arnett with the heart attacks. We had Jessica, who, when I called her, I Zoomed with her, and I said, you said you had some nice results. What's it about? I had no idea what I was in for. She had 16 very serious conditions, and they're all gone in a relatively short period of time. What am I talking about? 3 forms of psoriasis, for example. So she had psoriatic arthritis, she had goutte psoriasis, and plaque psoriasis. Gone. From the psoriasis, she had what's called dactylitis, which is her toes in the morning, sometime, not all the time. She would wake up and they would be black and blue, swollen, and painful as heck.
Well,
2 visits, and that's never come back.
that's
So if you're
impressive.
suffering with anything, if you don't try a bed that we'll find for you locally for 6 times, then you are no longer allowed to complain.
I love
There's a
it.
little LOL here, but I'm half joking and a half serious.
Mhm.
How could you complain when I've got the potential for an answer for you? Now, I'm not in practice, so I'm not inviting you to my office. There's no financial incentive really for me to be telling you this, other than I'm going to ask you as a favor after you've gotten the 6 visits to go back on our website. So we're going to talk about it in a minute, but you go to the website, go to the contact us page, and on the bottom, you can write a note to me. And I'd love to know how those 6 visits went for you. Because
Yeah.
remember, what was my goal? My goal was not necessarily to make money. I don't mind making money, but I love helping people. I want to hear how this helped you or not. I want to know what happened.
That's very true. And
Visit.
and you had
So let's,
mentioned your website, and I forgot to mention that. Your website is trifectalight.com, correct?
yeah, if you're looking behind here, does it
Right
say
there.
trifectalight.com? So, and the trifecta is from the triple effect of face, fat, and healing. So originally with the device, before we had the bed, it didn't cover the whole body. So it was a face, beautiful, fine lines and wrinkles gone. The person would look much younger. And then we talked about fat loss, and I'm going to go over the mechanism in a moment. And then we also talked about the healing aspect.
Mm.
So, and it's not subtle, it's unbelievable. So that's where the trifecta came from, like winning at the racetrack. You won the trifecta, it's a triple effect, face, fat, and healing. But it turns out it's skin from head to toe, actually, now that we're using the bed. And remember, people say, well, what does the bed cost? You don't need staff. So if you're using it for your business, this is huge for business. It's a magnet that will drive many more people to your facility or draw more people to your facility. And the word of mouth will be huge. And I'll tell you why. Satisfied patients don't refer.
Mm.
It's excited patients that refer. So when you had someone that couldn't walk and now they're walking, someone that was losing their eyesight and now is not, someone who had, this problem or that problem and now is not, they're excited as heck and they tell everybody around them. In fact, my wife has to remind me to not keep talking about red light therapy. So when we go to events, she'll say, could you just this time not bother the people around you with your dumb, and she loves it, so not dumb, but with the red light therapy. And I don't always, I say, yes, honey, but if that guy down the road over here is suffering, I don't, and I have maybe a possibility for him not to have to suffer. Imagine no side effects. It's non invasive. The worst that'll happen is nothing. You can't be hurt by this. Even in the world of contraindications mean who can or cannot use the bed.
Mm.
And technically, there are no contraindications. However, legally, there is a couple of contraindications. One of them is pregnant women.
No.
If that baby is destined to come out anything other than perfect, and when that baby comes out imperfect, they're going to want to sue anybody in the neighborhood. So we say, you know what? Let's just not be in the neighborhood. We know that lights can only be helpful. But if the baby's going to be coming out anything other than perfect, they're going to want to blame people. You don't want to be in that neighborhood. The other one is cancer. And cancer is a quadrillion-dollar business. And we've just been advised by our legal team to kind of stay away from active cancer. Now, if the person's in remission or cured or things like that, no problem. But active cancer, we're going to stay just from the safe point of view. Now, a big problem we have in this country is that we have way too many attorneys. So they need to find a reason to sue everybody. And you don't want to get that red flag going.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just, being conscious of following within the laws and doing that and knowing to stay out of it when you need to. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's
Absolutely.
it's being conscious of what's out there.
So there we are, finding out that this bed can make a huge difference in people's lives. And what I didn't tell you is that the most successful people that are experiencing are in the health industry, the
Mm.
fitness industry, even the beauty industry. Remember, we talked about fine lines and wrinkles and stuff like that. The weight loss industry, we already talked about that. But the other thing is athletes. Athletes love this bed. They love getting in the bed before their activity and they'll perform much better. I had a guy call me out and say, and he's a serious swimmer. He says, I can swim almost twice the distance I used to be able to swim since I've been using this red light bed.
Wow.
And so athletes get into bed after their activity sometimes because they'll recover much faster and much more thoroughly. I love the whole thing. You can tell. In fact, one of my staff members made up this mug. Can you see what it says?
Get in the bed. I love
That's
it.
my attitude. So it doesn't say shut up and get in the bed. The badges that we had would said just get in the bed. She made this one up, just say get in the bed. And that's my attitude. It's like it couldn't hurt you. You're going to try it 6 times. So let's find a location closest to you. Here's what you do. You go to the website, trifectalight.com, go to the contact us page, and on the left top of that page, you can find, you put in your information and we'll find a location closest to you.
Oh,
Try
very
it
cool.
6 times. When you go to that office, tell them you want the Rothschild special. And then after your 6 visits, I want you to comment on the bottom, go back to the website and comment to me, send an email to me, which indicates what your experience was. Now, we had a guy that had unbelievably severe Parkinson's. So after 6 visits, it's not going to do it completely, but he saw progress like he had never seen, well, had not seen in many years.
Nice.
But he saw that progress.
You know,
And
it's
multiple sclerosis is a good example of an issue. So multiple sclerosis, by definition, is progressive. Every year it gets worse and worse and worse. And what we have seen is the capability of halting the progression if you actively use this red light therapy. Now, again, remember, it's about bathing the whole body at the same time. Prior to the bed, we were making all these other devices that only covered parts of the body, and we never saw these kind of results. We didn't see the heart attack results. We didn't see a lady who had a stroke, and after 8 visits was better after the 8 visits than she was before she ever had a stroke.
nice.
There's almost, it just goes on and on. I don't care what you have, 8 visits. And again, if you're perfect, don't try it because, I'm 73 years old. And so I use the bed regularly. And I do that not because of where I'm at, but where I don't want to be.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's the fact of the matter is that this is for everybody. If you're the average person, what we find is that people who don't take care of themselves, they're just not scared enough. They
True.
don't know what they're doing today. They go, oh, I can get away. I can drink a 6-pack every night, no problem. And they're right in the sense, well, if you just take that little time in their life, that 1 year, they'll be fine probably. But talk to me when they're 60 or 70, what that damage did to them. So what you're doing today could have horrible effects on you later on in your life. So as a chiropractor, I got to see a lot of people who didn't take care of themselves. They came to me out of desperation because they waited too long.
Right.
And
And
there are times when I would say to myself, please God, don't let me, I wouldn't say it out loud. Don't let me wind up like that. And so the fact of the matter is, if you're not taking care of yourself, I want you to listen carefully to your 75-year-old self crying in the background, going, what are you doing?
that is so very true
So,
though, because there's so many people you don't care. And when you're young, when you're younger, you feel invincible and you figure, it's not going to matter. It doesn't matter. And nothing I do now is going to matter. I'll take care of it later. And then when something happens, then you're like, and you can't move. And I've got to say, I've been to the chiropractor before, and I am so thankful they are there because they have helped me immensely. And there's times I waited too long and I should have went in earlier. And now I'm getting much better at, okay, starting to feel it. Let's go in now and take care of it before it gets to that level. But a lot of people
people know about this for their teeth.
yeah,
The dentist did such a phenomenal job on getting people to brush their teeth regularly with, because everyone knows if you wait until your teeth are hurting,
right.
you waited way too long. And your body is somewhat like that as well. If your body is hurting, it's conceivable that you waited too long. The teeth are worse because there's not a lot of nerves in the bone structure of the teeth themselves. Whereas our joints have lots of nerves and our body in general has lots of nerves. So it gives us a signal a little early on, but a lot of people think if they're out of pain, they're fine. And I told my patient, I said, if the only goal is for you to be out of pain, let's just smack you over the head and knock you unconscious. You won't feel anything. But is that really the smartest approach?
True.
Anyhow, so we talked about a bunch of things here. I now want to talk to you for a second before I go over the mechanism and how this works. And there are two separate mechanisms we're going to talk about in a second. I just want to review with you how to think about whether this is wise for you to have in your own business. If you're in the healing industry, if you're in the beauty industry, which I already went over the different industries that benefit tremendously from this, it's like a magnet that will draw people to your facility. Yeah. And when people say, what does it cost? As I had mentioned, you don't need staff. So you're saving thousands of dollars a month just from that. It does it itself. The first visit, you have that orientation, make sure they're in the right place, blah, blah, blah. But after that first visit, they get in and out of bed themselves. I have one massage therapist. Now he's in his 50s. So you can imagine it's tough on the body by the time, how many massages do you think he can do a day?
That's a lot.
Now with the bed, he charges almost the same as he did when he did a full hour massage. And he could see 10 people a day and no wear and tear. Oh, he's loving it. He's absolutely loving it. And we have hundreds of locations all over the country. And everyone I've interviewed have been very pleased with the results. Everyone, all the providers have loved this. So when you go to the trifectalight.com webpage and go to the right side, you'll see the information that you can do a little bit more research to determine if this makes sense for you to have this in your practice, in your business, or whatever. I'll tell you, if you're an accountant, if you're a bookkeeper or something like that, this is not for you. This is for people that know something about the body and really are a little nutty like me that want to help people. And so it's a beautiful way of having very simple kind of approach. The patient gets in the bed and then they get out of the bed, and that's it. And so it's that easy. Now, I'm not telling you that they don't also have to eat smart and exercise smart.
Right.
And there's a million other things you can talk about, but I'm going to keep it simple. Eat smart, exercise smart, and use red light therapy. And so eat smart from the weight loss point of view is to not starve yourself. Anyone's going to lose weight if they starve themselves. But the word diet has a beginning and an end. And at that end, the person's going to gain all that weight back. Over 95% of people gain all the weight back and more if they go on a diet. But if you go into something that is about changing your lifestyle and incorporating it into your life for the rest of your life, that's not a starvation diet. We call it a calorically neutral diet for the weight that you want to be. You figure out how many calories you have. So let's say with a guy, it's 2,000 calories. And if you stay away from starchy carbohydrates, starchy carbohydrates, simple sugars, sodas, and alcohol. There's many other things that people will tell you, hey, don't eat fried foods, but start off with these four things. The starchy carbohydrates is like a bowl of pasta. And one of the originators on the whole concept about staying away from starches would liken a bowl of pasta like a bowl of sugar. And we all know we're not going to eat a bowl of sugar. But the way the body handles a bowl of pasta is like a bowl of sugar. And it screws the pancreas up and it messes up a lot of things that will make you gain weight. All right, so let's talk about how it works. I said there are two totally separate mechanisms. One is about fat loss. And the whole completely other mechanism, I call it the everything else. Otherwise, if you take your finger and start with the hair restoration, brain, eyes, mouth, whatever, organ, gland, whatever, that's the everything else. That can help everything else. Fat loss is a completely separate mechanism. It's discovered about, let's say 14 years ago by accident. And what they discovered is that it's only red light. It's not green, purple, orange. It's not the miracle wavelengths for me are what's called near infrared. So I'll take a second here to talk about the word infrared. Infrared There's no such thing as just infrared. It's either far infrared, which is about getting heat, or near
Mm.
infrared, which is not heat. And so back in the days when it first came out, near infrared was called cold laser, cold therapy. So if any of you ever heard that term, that's near infrared. It's not supposed to get hot. Heat is the enemy. Why is heat the enemy? Heat the enemy. Heat draws more blood to the surface of the body. So when I put a heat pack on a patient and then take it off, it's bright red underneath because we brought
Right.
all that blood to the surface. And that's going to affect, it's going to inhibit the lights to get to the rest of your tissues of your body. So when someone says it's only skin deep, that's because they're using crap lights that won't allow you to go deeper because the heat that's generated won't allow deep penetration. So our lights are medical grade, high-end lights that are very strong without getting hot. So that's one of the things you're going to be looking for of the kind of devices. The other thing is, remember, it's about bathing the whole body at the same time. If you want the miracles, you want to bathe the whole body at the same time, top to bottom, left and right, front and back, and inside and out, affecting as many of the tissues as possible. So let's talk about red light for a moment now. Again, that does some healing, but it's really about fat loss. And it's
Right.
only excess fat that it goes after. So if you're worried about, hey, I'm already trim, it's not going to turn you into skin and bones, believe me. That's not what's going to happen. But what they thought originally is that the red light would liquefy the fat or melt the fat. That's not what happens.
Mm.
And what they have since found out is that it changes the fat cell walls of all the cells in the body. I mean, all the fat cells. It changes the fat cell wall to become more porous. And temporarily, just a few hours, it allows the fat contents, some of the fat contents, to leak out into the surrounding tissue. And then with our unique protocol, we move the fat away from the fat cells and eventually to the liver for use or elimination.
Interesting.
That makes
So
sense.
I've got it does make sense. And I've got to ask how, when you started the light therapy, you said they've checked the other lights, the other colors, the red, the green, the blue, they've checked the other colors. And at what point there's a science behind all the red light? Is that also something that you kind of checked into before when you were first exposed to it, is going back and looking at the science of it to see how it works, why it works? Is that something that you were doing with that?
Yes and no. They didn't know what, when you're talking about 28 years ago, they didn't
Right.
know. And I'm a kind of person, there are two kinds of people. There's a lot of them. But there's very analytical people that have to know the inside and out, upside down, and they study it till they're whatever. And meanwhile, I've taken off, I'm off on the races, and I'm going to heal and cure all these people. You guys figure out why it works. I
How
don't
it
give
works.
a, if it doesn't hurt, and there's only one way. It's either it doesn't do anything or it helps. I'm taking on. I'm going to do that. I'm
Right.
not as analytical. I'm not as obsessed with having to know. I could turn on the light in this room and not be positive exactly how that works. I know
That's
it
a
a lot
really
better than when I was 4 years old and turned on the lights and it came on. I don't need to know every little detail to use it as long as it doesn't hurt anybody.
And that's very true for people to realize, and that's why you said try it. If it doesn't work, that's fine, but it's probably going to help you in some way, but you never know what it's going to do until you try it. I always say I'm always going to try something, see how it works, and then I can make my decision from there. And that's the nice thing I like about this is you have with the website, you can help people find where it's at, because if they're not a practitioner but they want to go try it out, you've got the ability to go, okay, where are you located, and are they, and I was going to go on there just before I got on again, but does it also list like states and where they're located? Can you
It
find
does
it
not.
quickly?
We were not. We've been advised by legal
Hmm.
not to list all the locations. So you just have to put in your information,
Uh,
and one of our staff will find the closest locations for you. I have
okay.
people dedicated, and we get quite a few requests on that. It's whether you want to only get treatment, and there are people who want to buy it or thinking about buying it, and they want to try it first. Either way.
Right. Right.
So now let's go over. We talked about red light and how that's for fat loss and a little bit of healing. Let's talk about a little bit more detail in near infrared. Now, near infrared and red also is essentially four elements. We've extracted four elements of sunlight, magnify it many times, and then drive it deep into the person's body. But I am telling you, on a very minor level, if you sat out in the sun, you would get some similar results, but they would be subtle compared to what I'm going to explain. So if you're having regular heart attacks, sitting out in the sun ain't going to do it.
Right.
And if I talk to you about Jessica, who I told you she had 16 very serious conditions, one of them was uveitis. And so she had swelling in one eye that was so severe that if it wasn't treated, she was going to go blind in that eye. And the treatment for that was an injection right into her eye.
Yeah.
And that was once a month. And it was horrific. And she hated it. And it didn't cure anything. It just helped to get through that next month.
Right.
And then she started using the red light bed. And all 16 of her very serious conditions. So watch her video when I send these out to you. Her name is Jessica. All 16 conditions, including 20 years of diarrhea only, and now normal bowel movements, including shingles, Lyme disease. I told you about 3 forms of psoriasis, all that stuff gone. So how does it work? Again, it's elements of sunlight that we've magnified many times and drive it into the body. Now, what does that do? So before I tell you what it does, let's talk about a very important organelle, smaller than an organ, and they call it a mitochondria. In each cell of your body, when I went to school, we were taught that every cell in your body has one mitochondria, and that's not true. So the heart, which has the highest demand for mitochondrial activity, has over 5,000 mitochondria in each cell.
Wow.
So that the mitochondria makes up 10% of your body weight. And I need you to think about that and let it sink in how important and prevalent the mitochondria are. So what is the mitochondria? Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the body. It's what helps you function. It's what helps you heal. What does all those things. So my phone is talking to me. And rather than take a hammer and kill it,
it's best not to take a hammer to it.
Very stubborn phone. So what we found is that certain elements of sunlight, not the negative, so we don't have UV light, we're not dealing with blue or green or any of those other colors that could be problematic, just red and not far infrared, just red and near infrared lights. That's it. And what they found is that that will help to bring the mitochondria back to normal. And now what does the mitochondria do is it stimulates production of ATP. The mitochondria is the reason why you breathe oxygen and eat food to create this ATP, which is the energy currency of the body. And so that energy currency in your body, if you have too little ATP production, it will lead to eventually disease and death.
Yeah.
And if you have the right amount of ATP production, you can pretty much fight and ward off any disease coming your way, and you will live better, much healthier. So when I give you these miraculous, crazy things, it's just about the ATP production and that we're bringing the ATP production back to normal. So they didn't know that mitochondrial activity was so important years ago. And now there are books called Mitochondrial Dysfunction and all about mitochondria. And there's a disease called mitochondrial dysfunction. It's like, whoa, what do you think I'm going to tell
them? Get in the bed. I've got a question about that because I keep hearing for those that don't know, I work with a team in the non-physical and they have a different sense of humor too. And they're asking, they want us to kind of cover when people get in the bed, is that where you're just taking off your shoes, you're getting in the bed? Are you having to get into like a gown to get in the bed? What do you need to do to get in the bed?
I have a better sense of humor than them. So my answer would be, as a practitioner, I try to stay dressed. But the patient, I will tell you that I answer that question by telling you less clothes the better.
Okay.
So when you're out in the sun and you don't want to get a lot of sun on you, you wear your shirt.
Right.
But we want all this beautiful energy into your body. So the less clothes, the better. And don't wear the goggles. So we're going to get that glorious energy into your eyes. Just keep your eyes closed. So we're going to say, well, is it dangerous to open my eyes while I'm in there? It's just annoying. It's a very
Yeah.
bright light. And so just keep your eyes closed. If you want to open it up for a second or whatever, no problem. It can't hurt your eye. It's just painful after a while. It's like having a flashlight and staring into it. You wouldn't do that.
Right.
But if you wear the goggles, you won't get that glorious energy into your eyes. So why would you want to get it in your eyes? Macular degeneration, macular edema, uveitis, glaucoma, floaters. I'm talking about, we had a guy that had floaters, that one in particular that was blocking his vision.
Mm.
And almost, the floaters are one of the easiest things. So that's simple. Most people notice it like little gnats that seem like flying by. It's the floaters in your eye. And it's annoying. It's not going to block your vision. It's just a pain in the butt. So you get in the bed, and after 2 weeks, but the floaters are just one of many things that are going on in your body.
Right.
So, you want to help. I call it the fountain of youth, the bed is. And so you want to use this regularly for the rest of your life. That's my suggestion. There are people that buy it for their home. This is not a toy. You don't just plug it into any outlet. It requires a 220 volt, 30 amp outlet. So it's a serious amount. It doesn't eat up a lot of electricity, but it's powerful.
Yeah, right.
It's very strong without getting hot. Remember that.
So is it kind of claustrophobic for people? I mean, I'm looking at the picture in the back and I'm like, are you completely enclosed? Are you squished like a hamburger? How does that work?
But do you see how it's open on either side?
Yes.
We did that on purpose. So the wrong style beds close like a coffin.
Mm.
Ours doesn't. We'll stay open like that. But remember, it's very important that the lights be as close onto your body as possible. The further you get away, the lights come off of your body, you lose power exponentially.
Right.
You want the lights as close to your body as possible. Because when you bring that canopy down, you bring it down right onto the body.
Nice. And that's what and so when they're in there, when you had talked about it goes in your eyes, so you're basically your head is inside it, your head isn't outside. Like when you're on a chiropractic table, your head is kind of on that special thing where
Right.
you're actually inside of
No,
the
we actually have a headpiece on this. So when somebody is, you can tell, I want you to have your head in there. I want you to have
right.
your eyes closed and your mouth open. We want to get this into your mouth. So now if your head's not in there, now the bed comes with a head extender for two reasons. We have basketball players that use this bed that are like 7, whatever. Our bed is 6'8".
You're
So if you're
right.
taller than that, which is not a lot of people, then they can have their head outside, or they can have their feet outside the bed. But and I talked to you about why an athlete would want to use it. We have famous athletes that we're signing endorsement agreements relatively soon. I can't mention their names right now, but they love it. I mean, imagine, especially an older athlete, this will extend their career significantly. Not only will they have more energy to do and perform, but afterwards they're going to recover. So we call it performance and recovery division of the company.
Because it
I
definitely
just want to
feels
finish
like
up
it.
with I just want to
Yep.
finish up with the whole concept that everyone gets it straight. The sunlight, the 4 elements of light stimulate the mitochondria to come back to life, to come back to health. And it does that wonderfully in an amazing order so that almost any tissue in your body is going to come back to health. Now, there's a whole another level that I'm not going to get into right now. So if in the future you want to study this, if you get my book, I don't make a dime off of this. Any profits go to charity. The book is called Illuminated Healing. And I strongly recommend, if you want to know more about red light therapy, that you get the book, Illuminated Healing, at Amazon. You can get it as an Audible and listen to me for 8 hours. You can get it as a Kindle and read it on the phone, on the computer, or you can buy the actual book. And then there's our YouTube channel. So if you can see that, if you go to YouTube and put in the @ sign and then Trifecta Light Official,
Mm.
there's over 130 really good videos, really solid. Some of them testimonials, some educational, but I'm going to be sending you even more intense
Wow.
videos for the testimonials just because they are more intense.
Oh, absolutely.
So
And it's
I
good to
wanted
see
to
that.
mention two more things. So we talked about how it works, the light stimulating the mitochondria, bringing them back to health, that the lights come very close to your body, that you're using medical grade lights that don't get hot, but very strong,
Yeah.
that you're using a bed that's head to toe. So it's covering you from head to toe. So people say, well, what about the masks and the helmets and all that? I don't have any objection to those, but don't expect miracles from those. So you're just
Right.
looking for a spot on your face. Okay. But I'm telling you, you'd want to have something full body, is my suggestion. And then the other thing is that we have the capability, well, first of all, of customizing the treatment. So a 80 pounder is going to get a different dose than someone who's 400 pounds. So we can customize it for the size, for the condition, and things like that. And then also we can pulse the wave. And I don't know if your audience knows about resonating frequencies or healing frequencies and things like that. You've heard of sound frequencies.
Hmm.
There are healers that just involve with sound. So with our bed, we include three forms of vibration or frequency. One is light frequency. So you can change the frequency to resonate with different tissues, and that enhances the success. We include a sound generator, so you have sound frequencies. And then we also include a whole body vibrational unit, so you're getting vibratory frequency as well. So the bed comes with 32 things because I'm not going to give a person an option. I'm not being unbelievably successful with this.
Right.
And again, I told you that it's not satisfied patients that refer, it's excited patients that refer. So I was talking to this excited patient of an office on the East Coast, and they told me that they referred 18 people to that office. That's what
Wow.
this is about, building your business with tremendous referrals. And then I go through educational teaching people, well, how do you enhance that and make sure that you're getting even more referrals? We go over all that stuff in the 32 things, including the training, the coaching. We have a business coach that will help the person. And then everything else that they're going to need to be successful, including waiting room videos and print material, stuff like that.
That is very cool. And so much to offer people. And I love the fact that you put in it's got light, sound, and vibration because I work with a team in non-physical, and one of the things they've said is going forward, this is going to be a combination of the regular medicine we have and adding in all of the lights and the sounds and vibrations, and it's all coming together. This is
Absolutely.
all part of it. And yes, obviously you can't make a claim this does anything. I get all that, and I'm not making that claim. What I'm saying is there are benefits to doing some of this if you're willing to try and seeing what works for you because everyone is different. Everyone, reacts differently to different things. But it's taking the time to go, will it work for me? But the sound and vibration added in with light, I think is a very good trifecta, and that is where you got the trifecta from. And how did you go from having like before you just had like the mask or the certain parts that went on different parts of the body? How did you take it from that and scale it up to a whole
It was
bed?
because of COVID. So our practitioners asked us to have less physical contact between them and their patients. So we built a bed, because the person can get in and out of bed themselves without needing any assistance. So sometimes it's just a matter, we just thought it was going to be effective to replace what we had before. We were not expecting the kind of miracles. And now we realize when you bathe the whole body at the same time. I was forced into this. I was not interested in doing
I
that.
was forced.
COVID forced, I would have never, if COVID hadn't hit, I doubt if we would have built a bed.
Yeah.
And now the bed is so unbelievably popular that, you can see different explosions of popularity in red light therapy. And it started out very slow. Then when the fat loss happened, there was a bump up in it. But when we built this bed, and now there are other beds out there that are inferior, but they're trying. The most important thing is having these high grade, high medical grade beds that burn very strong without being hot. That's where the money is. That's where the difference is. That's where the results are. That's why we're going to be hopefully soon in the military Um, I'm not privy yet to tell everybody what's going on, but the MAHA program wants to increase the wellness centers, improve the wellness centers at the military bases. And the guy in charge of that loves our bed. And then, as I mentioned before, we're with the Los Angeles Clippers, amongst other professional and semi-professional organizations, and they love our bed. And so you're going to see a lot more athletes having our bed. So at any rate, it's been a pleasure. Um, and if you guys have questions, you can always go on my website and ask all the questions that you need. Get the book, check out the website, and if you haven't tried this bed 6 times, you have no. We're not allowing you to complain about anything. You
I
can
love
complain
that.
about money, you can complain about politics. You can't complain about your problems, your physical.
Is this also like because you had said there's other beds out there that are, you know, copying kind of what you have? So if they contact you, if people contact you through your website, they can see where the certified beds are, so they know they're getting a certified beds
Correct.
versus a bed that uses red light, but maybe not in the same configuration that you're using. So they can still contact you on that website to make sure who
That's
is
correct.
this or where are they.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's good to know, and that's good for people. So I'm encouraging people to go out and check out your website. And again, it's trifectalight.com. For those who are listening, I'll spell it just so you have it because some people are only listening on the downloadable podcast, but it's Trifect. Let me read that. Trifect
Hey,
ALIGHT.com. So make sure to check that out.
now
But
they're really confused.
and now they're really confused. So try it again. But yeah, on your YouTube channel, seeing what the other people have said about it, that's very important.
And
And
I'll send you the show notes and much more, even more in depth videos that I think these people are really going to love.
love that. Love that. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say before we close? I know you've got to get out of here pretty quick here.
I really have to go. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity. You take care. All right.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Dr. Carl. I appreciate you so much. And then I also want to let people know, make sure to check out the next episodes of Edge Talk Radio on the first and third Wednesdays of the month at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you've missed any past episodes, you can go ahead and go on either my YouTube channel, Edge Magazine's YouTube channel, or pretty much all the downloadable podcasts. You could check out any past episodes. And I just want to thank you again, Dr. Carl, and thank you all for listening, expanding, and amplifying our universe together. Thank you all and have an